It is this living.
This living room.
My being rich is not a function of how much I earn, it's a function of how much I spend. What is a brand story, and do brands need a brand story?
So the reason of the company's existence essentially leads into what the brand story of the company is.
A company and a brand are different things.
Hey, what does Zomato stand for? I always said Zomato stands for being quirky and funny.
Okay.
And then Zomato drops this fuel your hustle.
Fuel your hustle. 5 things which make a good brand story. Branding कर दी हमने, हम ready हैं launch के लिए. That is a big problem.
I think we've solved brand stories.
We solved brand stories.
Yeah. Now I just wish more people would give us projects on brand stories. Welcome to our podcast. If you can call it that. Living room cast.
It's a little weird, but yeah, let's call it a podcast.
Let's call it a podcast for want of a better word.
Yeah.
We've called it this living room, not the living room.
This living room.
This living room.
Yeah.
But it can't be any living room.
Yeah, right now it's this living.
It's this living room.
Yeah.
Because the studio space, expensive, don't want to spend money on all of that.
Yeah.
Don't even know this podcast is going to do well. So the idea is, we had this idea sometime in Bhimtal. In one of our many events.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So the idea was that we would just talk and we would have cameras record us.
But that had a
With
very
alcohol.
But that had a very different theme. That was 2 men in their 40s talking about life.
Yeah, and advertising had nothing.
Advertising, marketing had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but for viewership purposes
And us not being cancelled.
and us not being cancelled once again,
Uh,
me once again,
me for the first time.
you for the first time, me twice, we've decided to put in some advertising and marketing stuff
Yeah.
into it.
Which we should know a little bit about. Given
Little.
that we earn our...
Plus, you've been a client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I've never been a client. I've only been on the creative side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first
I've
thing
been a good client though.
You've been a good client.
Yeah. At least I think I've been a good client.
You think you would have been richer had you still been on the client side?
Would I have been richer?
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe no.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, my being rich is not a function of how much I earn.
No, forget about your family money.
No. My being rich is not a function of how much I earn. It's a function of how much I spend. So,
But let's assume that doesn't change because it's not going to change.
nah, then probably the same.
Okay.
Oh, this camera. Yeah, this podcast is slightly sponsored by.
You can't say shit like that.
Why?
You can't say sponsored by Coke and shit.
Oh no, I can't. Is it?
No.
Do they really have to do it? Why?
They have to say that they have to sponsor it for them. But you can like slightly put the logo there. And,
No, they're sponsoring it without us paying it, without us getting paid. But whatever. Okay.
But we are looking for sponsors. So if you want to sponsor,
No, we're not, man. Why do you want sponsors?
I don't mind alcohol being sponsored.
Okay, I'll sponsor your alcohol.
Okay. What are we talking about? Apart from Bakchodi?
Yeah. What is a brand story, and do brands need a brand story?
Do brands need a brand story? Okay, let's start with the absolute basics.
No, hold on. Let's answer the question first. Do brands need a brand story?
Let's start with what the fuck a brand story is.
Okay, whatever our understanding of what a brand story is, do brands need a brand story? It's a yes or no question.
For me, it's a yes. It's a definite yes.
Okay, so we happen to agree on something. I also agree. But now, what do you think is a brand story? And since you're the one who writes brand stories.
So I know what a brand story is. So it's an unfair question to ask me.
No, so explain to me as if I was a 5-year-old.
Beta.
Ji uncle.
So creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a fantastic gentleman called the name of Simon Sinek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he mapped it out beautifully. So he said, okay, this is what a company does. This is how a company does it. And this is why a company does what it does. Right. Now, and you can take any brand, you can take any company, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. The reason of the company's existence, which is the why do I exist to begin with? Why does the voice company exist? Why does Tata Steel exist? Why does Coke exist? Whatever, right? The reason of its existence.
Plug
Yeah.
of the voice company.
Yeah, this has been sponsored by the voice company.
Yeah, bullshit.
All of these fucking phones and cameras and like tripods, all of this was bought by our money.
367 is an equal participant.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. With our money, fucker.
Our money. Continue. Simon Sinek.
So
we all know what he says, okay? So you don't have to explain what he says.
You said you're a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah, I'm a 5-year-old. Sorry, I forget.
Yeah. So the reason of the company's existence essentially leads into what the brand story of the company is. Let's talk about Apple. What does Apple do? Apple started making computers.
Yeah.
Now that's what they said. Okay, we make great computers, and how they do it, they have great engineers and they have great softwares and all that. But why does Apple exist? Apple exists to essentially unleash the creative person in you, right?
Yeah.
That's why Apple exists. So, what's Apple's tagline?
Shit, I blanked out completely. Think different.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So the tagline of Apple, Think Different, came from that brand story. It unleashes the creative person.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the question to ask is that a campaign line? Is that a tagline? What the fuck is a tagline?
No, hold on. Okay, so here is where people tend to get this wrong. A company and a brand are different things.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, what happens is that like Apple is a good example, or a Nike is a good example, where the company and the brand are the same, right? So Tata is a different example. Brand
or
Tata, Jio.
Yeah.
Brand Tata has its own brand story.
Correct.
Or its own reason to exist.
Correct.
Tata Tea
has its own reason to exist.
Correct,
exist. Absolutely.
Right? So so one has to be able to differentiate. So an
Yeah.
organization's reason to exist may or may not be its brand's reason.
No. I'm talking about if it's
the brand and the company are the same.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, if you look at most D2C brands, it's the same thing.
Yeah, fair.
Right? The company can be called whatever. Like the billing can be done in whichever name. Right?
No, not just that. Not the billing. I'm saying the reason to exist for the company could be something else, right? So, okay. So, for example, I want to launch a business which eventual purpose is to solve for, let's say, heart disease, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
Now, heart disease has different scales, and essentially just healthier food could be one, and I could also do medical equipment under the same thing, which would mean different brands, and each brand would have its own purpose of existence.
Correct.
So, for example, the food business will essentially, the story there will be nourishing people and something down those lines, right? While the medical equipment business, which cardiologists use, that will be to further the science around heart health, for example, right? So there is a difference, and you have to be able to navigate that difference. It's not the same.
No, sure. But before we started having this chat, you were asking what is the right time? Should brands have a brand story on day 0? Should they have it on day 10? Should it have it as they move along? Right? I think that it's beneficial for a brand to have that story locked down with its brand identity, all of that on day 0. And in some cases, I feel the brand identity also comes a little bit from the brand story. If you don't, it's a simple document, right? If you don't have that mapped out in your head, why are we here? Why are we even building this brand? And the answer to that can't be, I want to get rich. I mean, sure, you want to get...
Which in a lot of cases is the answer.
I want to get fucking rich. But in an ideal case, the purpose of existence can't be that.
I agree. So brand story has to be written right up front. I think it should more be an intent document and a guiding principle document at an early stage. And you should not be using that, and in my opinion, early on in consumer facing communication, right up front. And we'll get to that, and I'll tell you why, right? brands have journeys, right?
Yeah.
Brands need to command a certain stature to be able to talk things which matter in culture, right? So stature is important now. And think about brands as people, right? So if you think about brands as people, if somebody who doesn't have any credibility in the space suddenly starts talking about it, there's no connection, right?
I'll tell you why I differ with that.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, at a very, very base level, forget about brands, people. When you said people, I immediately thought of something. Now, okay, forget brands. Let's me as a person,
Yeah.
right? From the time I became an adult, and even I think for a long time in my childhood, I think I was an underdog supporter. I would support underdogs.
Yeah.
I felt for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, whether they're animals, whether they're people, whether whatever, doesn't matter. I would support them, right? Now, as I grew and my skill sets also grew, I started doing that professionally, whether it was with Longhand Awards, whether it was a Dolls project, which was about doing a project with kids, then marketing with both, or whatever, right? I was this person as soon as I had a conscience.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that person grew. And when I evolved, that part of me also evolved. It's not that I gained 5,000 followers and then I started saying, okay, now I have 5,000 followers and hence I'm going to support the underdog.
No, so it's a very interesting thing. What you're talking about is the value system, right? So
yeah,
as a value, you support underdogs, which is consistent, and values should be consistent across. Okay. Now, what I was trying to say was, so for example, I just know that you just started learning how to DJ.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, after doing like 3 classes of DJing, you go up and start creating content and telling people on the skill of DJing, right? Or even the emotion of DJing, right? You don't have the requisite depth.
Yeah, I'm not
exactly.
That, yeah.
So I'm saying the stature is required. You have to be in it for long enough for people to listen to a elevated conversation, right? The brand story will have that stature, right? When you're setting out the vision of the company, right? So effectively, in some way or the other, all brands exist to change the world, right? With their point of view, whichever way, chota, bada, whatever. For the brand to be able to take that position on day zero from a consumer facing perspective is a very bad idea. You haven't done the hard work. You haven't been there long enough for me to be able to kind of appreciate what you're saying, to trust you, right? You haven't done the hard yards.
Okay, so let's.
So I'll just close this, right? So today, when you talk about advertising, today if I talk about brand, I have 17, 18 years of experience, right? I can talk about this, right? So I can't do the same thing with supply chain, right? While I've like I know a little bit about it, but I don't have those credentials.
Yeah.
So if you just go back and just look at people and brands, right? You call out people's bullshit when you know there's not enough depth. So early on, brands don't have that depth. Plus, from a business standpoint.
But I keep going back to that thing. Why does a brand need to be there for, let's say, 5 to 10 years before it starts putting its brand story out into the consumer world? Let's take Zomato. Yeah? Okay. Zomato has been known to be a brand that kids fucking love because of the content strategy, this, that, whatever. White text, red screen, very punny, very witty, very pop culture-ish stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you asked me about it a month back, hey, what does Zomato stand for? I would have said Zomato stands for being quirky and funny. That's what I would have said.
Yeah, so right? it's interesting, right?
And then Zomato drops this, fuel your hustle.
Fuel your hustle.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
And that completely threw me off. As someone who prefers Zomato over Swiggy, I order from Zomato. As someone who prefers Zomato over Swiggy, it's not like I'm going to change over to Swiggy. I love the app. Now it's become a habit.
Yeah.
But I couldn't understand where Zomato came from. But this is exactly what you're talking about right now.
No, I'm not. So I'm saying, okay, so this Zomato, I think, at many different levels, is a bad idea for Zomato to do what it's doing, because I don't think it's solving anything for the business right now. Okay. And I did a LinkedIn post, if you remember, and we spoke about it as to why. And that's a longer conversation. But So let's assume that fuel your hustle is the right thing to do for business, right? Let's assume that. The switch Zomato has made, it's not how people evolve, right? So just go by that, right? You slowly start building capability, right? You slowly start transitioning into a position of expertise. So if you've like DJing is a good example because you're just at the beginning, right? So let's say a year down the line where you've learned enough. When you and me are talking, you'll be able to tell me a few things which you've learned, right? Which I don't know of. For me, your capability as somebody who understands technicality of DJing will increase. 2 years later, it's going to go up, right? You'll meet 10 other people, it's going to keep increasing. It adds on to it, it builds.
But you're talking about experience, not the brand story.
No, I'm saying how consumers digest your brand story. The Zomato jump, so it's a very drastic jump, right? Suddenly from being a quirky fun brand to fueling your hustle and oh, go do this, very Nike-ish. Right? That's a bad idea. But the brand story is an evolving journey. People, consumers grow with the brand because as human beings grow, consumers also grow with the brand. I'm saying the mistake a lot of brands do, right, is that they look at Nike today and they say Nike does all this elevated communication around just do it, etc., etc. Back when Nike started for the first 10 years, what was Nike saying? Yeah, the best fucking track and field shoes and you are going to win races. Under Armour. Under Armour, the founder, I don't remember names, I'm very bad at it, used to go from one college football ground to the other, selling jerseys that these jerseys are not going to rip. Right? The first thing that the brand establishes is who am I, right? As in, what do I do? Tell me that.
Differentiator.
Right? Just tell me what you do. Why? As in, the name and what it does should get established first, right? Then, and obviously, with the name, you also start talking about differentiation. Your capability as a brand also increases with time. You start launching new products. Your product also gets better. What you start with, by the way, is your first iteration of the product, right? Your product also gets better because you start getting feedback. Your understanding of the space increases. Your understanding of the consumer increases. And hence, your ability to say the story also grows. Day one, don't do just do it. Day one, talk about you being the best shoe. The mistake is looking at brands which have been built over 100 years today,
and trying to apply the same principles.
Trying to apply the same principles. I don't even know what you do.
But let me, okay, so I get where you're going. Okay, now let me pick another brand, and this is a brand that both of us love. Zenma. Right? You have it downstairs in your cafe. My freezer was full of it. Now, when Zenma launched, Zenma, for people who don't know, Zenma is a frozen coffee pod which you plunk, which you put in the microwave, unfreeze, and add water, milk, or whatever, right? Now, when they launch, Zenma has essentially two directions to take for the go-to market, right? One direction is to say, hey, listen, we are frozen coffee pods which you can make an espresso with or a cappuccino with or whatever. Okay. Then there's the other direction, which is the direction of I want to make your life comfortable. I want to make your life easy. Right? Now, my sense is to go with route 2, which is the easy route, because today, while Zenma is making frozen coffee pods, tomorrow it might want to make something else which fits into the umbrella of easy and convenience.
No, I get it. So, see, you're talking about a different thing altogether. What you are saying...
No, I'm talking about the brand story.
Hold on.
Brand story from day one.
Hold on. So, what you are saying is, do I need to do a boring functional execution? Right?
No, not boring. Why
No, I'm saying, okay, so let's look at a campaign where in the beginning you just said that, hey, listen, this is a better way of making coffee, right? Most brands would have gone down this path. The ad would have been somebody taking the pod, opening it, putting a timer. 30 seconds mein, cafe level coffee ready for you, right? You are doing benefit articulation, saying that I'm here to make your life comfortable.
Correct.
Right? Versus
purpose. Why? Purpose of existence. Why do I exist?
No. So is Zenma's purpose they want to make people's life comfortable? I suspect it's not. The reason why Zenma exists probably is sitting around some place of either making better choices for people or changing the experience of consumption of coffee or something like that, right? How does the why for Zenma is not making people's life comfortable. Because if
convenience, not comfortable,
convenience, whatever, right? Convenience, comfortable, that is not that I don't think is the why. If you ask the founder, why did you start the business? What do you think his answer is? Will it come down to I want to make people's life convenient?
We should call Sheena, but we can't because our phones are hooked up.
Yeah, but I don't think that will be the answer, right? So that's what I'm saying. So what you are talking about is a benefit-driven launch communication strategy, which, by the way, is a good way of doing it, right? I'm not saying keep tone of voice, benefit-driven communication for early stage brands. Absolutely helps break clutter, right? But first, establish who you are, right? And then get yourself to a place. So it's like, suppose if you go to a place and you are the keynote.
But when you get yourself to a place, consumers are going to find, I'm going to talk in DJ language, consumers are going to find that drop. Which is what exactly?
That's an execution no, that's an execution problem. Zomato is a very different thing. Zomato is a disconnect with the mental model that people have with what Zomato is versus what their communication right now is showing. Okay, that's a different thing. So again, I'm going to come back to the people example because it's a good way to do this. Suppose you go to an event and there's a keynote speaker, right? Imagine getting a keynote speaker whom you have never even heard of.
Yeah.
The person, number one, will, if the event has any weight, the person will not be invited, right? Now, the anticipation of the keynote speaker that, hey, I want to listen to him talk is because you know the person, right? So if you go to an event where, let's say, Gary Vee shows up, right? You have gone through Gary Vee's content enough and more where you know the person, you know what he does. There is credibility which has got established and you want to listen to what his point of view today is. Unknown keynote speakers, what is the first question? Ye hai kaun? Karta kya hai? Said that
I want to take you back a little bit. The same metaphor, same analogy of a keynote speaker. The reason I would sign up for this keynote event is because at some level, I identify with his story. We're not talking brands anymore, we're talking people.
Yes.
It doesn't matter to me if he's been in the industry for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter to me. I want to know what his story is. And the reason I'm going to sign up for that event is there are a couple of directions here, right?
Yeah.
A, I've never heard of this person, so I'm going to Google him.
Yeah.
Find out, okay, this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is what he represents. I was like, yeah, I really vibe with this person or I don't vibe with this person.
Yes.
I'm not going to sign up.
Yes.
Or I know about this person because I followed this person.
Yeah.
I like his vibe. I like what he represents. And I'm going to sign up for this event. None of these combinations have anything to do with the fact that he's senior or junior or mid-level or how much experience he has.
No, but there's stature. Okay. So stature means different things in different contexts, right? It's not age, right? It's in some places you might find that a 10-year-old guitarist is doing something crazy, which people who have played the guitar for 30 years can't.
Yeah.
That 10-year-old has stature, right?
Okay.
So you respect that 10-year-old. In the world of marketing and brand, your years mean that you've seen different things, you've done different things, you've experienced different business cycles and contexts. Hence, you are a practitioner, because Gary Vee keeps saying he's a practitioner. You've done it yourself. So your point of view comes with context and you have a view of the future. Without that context, if somebody who's just like 6 months into marketing, while it could be the case that this person who's 6 months new has a whacked up idea which will completely change the way marketing works, there is no credibility to it. Half the people won't even pay attention. Same thing happens with brands. You get into this elevated space of, hey, we are going to change the world. Our mission is this, our mission is that. First, tell me who you are. Do the hard yards. Prove yourself first. I'm saying the journey. And again, going back, brand story, absolutely important, right? No doubt about it. The second piece is the brand story and the corporate story could be different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thirdly, there is a sequential, it's the story arc, right? As in, there's a sequential journey. Consumers grow with the brand.
Sure.
Right? And the values have to be consistent, right? So if there are certain values that the brand stands for, even when you are doing simple things. So for example, if let's say, and everybody says consumer focus, right? Your definition of consumer focus, what do you mean by that? Will you pick up the call at 12 o'clock even if a consumer calls at 12 o'clock at night, right? Or will you say that, hey, we're going to do an awesome job, but after 6 we are not available? Very different takes on what consumer focus is, right? Whatever it is, if you've articulated 5 key values for the brand, you can still live out those values consistently and grow the story. As in, don't take that jump on day one. As in, who are you? Why should I even listen to what you're saying? You know what I'm saying? So, which is why. So, for example, again, now flip this argument. Suppose you are an established second, third time founder, right? And if you become the face of the brand, you can take an elevated position day one, right? So, Elon Musk launching something new in a completely disjointed category, he can go and make claims like, hey, I want to take humanity to a different planet, because he brings that credibility with him, right? Versus some random dude doing it, you'll be like, who the fuck are you, right? So credibility is also transportable across people.
Do you not think that this random dude doing it, let's say I don't know, let's call him Jack. Yeah. Jack says that I want to build humanity 2.0.
Let's call it Jack Daniels.
Let's call him Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels says, I want to build humanity 2.0. Right? On day one, you don't believe him. You have no reason to believe him. On day one, you don't believe him.
Yes.
On day two, he does something towards that story. You say, okay, this guy said a bunch of shit. I didn't believe him, but it seems interesting. Let me see what he says. On day three, he delivers something else. Now, because he's put his brand story out, right? Everything that he's going to do is going to be towards that brand story.
I'm getting where you're going with this, and I completely agree.
Consumers are also walking along that path.
Yeah. So again, see, the doing is adding to credibility, right? I'm saying, and again, I'm differentiating. I'm saying that, hey, you have a website on which you publish this, right? That this is what we are going to do. This is our point of view on the world. This is what we are going to change. No problem, right? The doing, when you translate that to marketing, is communication, right? What you are defining as doing is product and communication. You have to do a small step, then another small step, then the third step, right?
What's that famous brand, where these guys, that famous jacket ad,
Patagonia.
So Patagonia's story started from day one.
Brilliant example, Patagonia.
Now, and they said that, you know what? Don't buy this jacket. Right? Because they said that, we don't want, as a company, we don't believe in wastage. Which is why if you have an old jacket, you know what? We have people who will repair that jacket for you. Right? They stick to that story.
But they did the hard yards.
From day one.
Yes, they did the hard yards from day one.
So you can't have a brand story and not do the hard yards.
Exactly. But I'm saying, so Patagonia was built very differently, right? Patagonia was built through community, Boulder, Colorado, that entire lifestyle, that entire ethic. But they were doing local work in local communities. Right? As in, they were doing work there on the ground. And then the hard yards, a mission with hard yards gives you the...
I think a brand story is not a social media post.
Exactly. I'm just trying to say that, which is it's the disconnect between execution. Okay. So imagine this, right? You go to a brand strategy person and you say, craft out a great brand strategy book for me or whatever, right? And we've articulated what the brand should stand for there. Okay. And from there, you take it to a creative, right? And suppose that brief comes to you saying, hey, this is the brand story and we sell toilet cleaners, right? Now, if you take the brand story as brief and want to deliver on it on day one for toilet cleaners, you will not sell a single fucking bottle.
Correct.
Right? Correct. The problem is the founder is looking at that brand story and is looking at your creative idea. And they're like,
doesn't match.
That appreciation.
Correct.
That's the disconnect I'm talking about. That's it.
It doesn't match. It will never match. Unless you do the others, and brand story is not just consumer facing communication.
Absolutely.
It's the other stuff that you have to do to get your brand story out alive.
So I think we are broadly there. Now, the other mistake which I see, right, is a lot of times branding kar li hai humne. Now we are ready for launch. Okay. There's this word going around which is branding. Branding ho gaya hai. Okay. Like literally branding. Right? And yes, you require branding because just for simple trademark purposes, you require a logo, and for logos, it has to have a font and whatever, right? Now, branding is not enough.
No.
Okay. And if your branding is sorted and if your story is not sorted, you're not ready for launch.
No, absolutely not. It's like having shiny new clothes and you don't know what the fuck, where you're going, what you're about to say.
I had a different example, but I shouldn't say that. But yeah. But as in that's also a differentiator, right? As in that's also something which I see happening very often. And a lot of times, people who claim to be building brands essentially deliver a brand visual identity.
That's not brand building.
Which
also brand building, and most founders and branding experts also I think that branding is a 1 month job or 2 month job.
No, it's a decade at least to go somewhere.
No, I think it goes on.
Yeah, till you live.
Yeah, it goes on. Till the brand is
absolutely
there, you need a branding person.
And it will keep changing. The way people evolve.
Correct.
In the 20s, you want to get drunk. In the 30s, you want to potentially, if you look at the classical life, you want to settle down, focus on your career. 40s is about building your
career.
You
get divorced.
Possibly. 50s is about exploring
midlife crisis.
The midlife crisis or the spiritual side of life.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a journey, and same is the case with a brand.
Yeah.
That journey keeps changing. But as a person, you remain the same, but you go through a journey and the brands also evolve. Right. But ये branding कर दी हमने, हम ready हैं launch के लिए. That is a big problem. So those are things that happen, as in which is.
Do you think it's ever going to change?
So, okay, so I'll tell you what, right? I think, and I've been doing D2C myself since 2015, but I've been interacting with other brands since 2020, right? I have started hearing more and more conversation now, which is brand building is important, right? And spending money on performance marketing only is not enough, right? I've started hearing.
I agree with that.
No, I agree with it. Earlier, like if you roll back 2.5, 3 years back.
Throw money at Meta.
This conversation was not a conversation which was happening.
Correct.
In the larger circle, in the larger ecosystem. I think that has started happening, right? So there is some understanding. Now I think people still grapple with what that means. Number one. Number two, how do we execute it? And also just how do we measure it? Like all these three things are very nebulous in people's heads, right? While
but how do you measure branding?
Yeah, of course you measure branding. You do consumer research, right? And primary consumer research, and you measure branding.
Which is all paid for.
Sorry, which is?
All paid for. It's all like.
Yeah, it's not very expensive though in today's world, right? As in you can, and you don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do it every month. In fact, you can set up research panels which you run once every 6 months. Because if you're in early stage brands, how much media are you going to actually spend, right? As in, you won't even have threshold level of media money for so many people to know about your brand. So you can do it once, twice a year. And probably the cost of that, if you do 2 interventions a year, is going to be under 10 lakhs. And that 10 lakhs, by the way, is going to save you crores of media money going forward. Because, hey, what does that do, right? You set up what are known as imagery parameters, right? So if you say that my brand should be known for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You put that into research, you ask consumers whether your brand is differentiated on these 5 things, right? So protein brand should be differentiated on, do people consider it trustworthy? Does it deliver? Does it actually help people? Do other people recommend? Stuff like that, right? So you take those parameters and you can also map competition and you can see how what your progress is. Now the data doesn't have to be looked at in absolution, but over a period of time, whether those measures are improving. And that's classical research. So media is input, but how people perceive you is output. And that's what research does. And those tools are available easily. All of them are digital. All of them can be customized.
How many brands, I'm talking about young, like maybe seed to Series A.
Yeah.
How many brands do you think actually give a shit about research?
So it's like this, right? As in, if you don't know the benefit, then you don't give a shit, right? So it's also a journey for the brand, right? As in, uh, and it's just exposure to research. So, for example, if there's a founding team which has potentially seen research in their past careers or jobs, and like for example, anybody coming from an FMCG background in India, right? FMCG is very deep into research, right? Everything is research, right? Even things which shouldn't be are research, right? So it's that deep into research. But if you come from that world, you'll have appreciation, right? But I don't think a founder who has never been part of that world will have appreciation, because he just doesn't know that it exists, right? As in, it's as simple as that. It is largely the job of the brand building agency partner to say that, hey, listen, this is strat, this is execution, this is measurement, right? And if strat you align on, the execution has to deliver on the measurement. If the execution doesn't, then the execution changes, right? So that measurement should be built in, and that, I think, is the responsibility of agency partners who work with brands to go and tell people that, hey, listen, all this brand and all is fine, but here is what we will measure, and you hold me accountable for those outcomes. So if, for example, if you handle social media for a brand, right, the same principles apply to you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of looking at how many views and while, see, the view, etc., is media measurement, right? That's fine. The impact is through consumer research, and that can be measured. So which is, I think, which will also start happening, right? Again, progression. So from saying only performance marketing to saying performance marketing plus brand building.
Yeah.
Largely brand building today is organic social media, right? Plus podcast, plus blah, 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 right? A bunch of things that brands are doing. It will get to a place where people will start saying that, okay, we are doing all
this. How do we measure it?
How do we measure it? And by the way, the measurement models exist today. As in, you don't have to reinvent it, right? It's just there. As in, a bunch of companies do it, and it doesn't cost you to.
But legacy companies do it. I mean, startups generally don't.
Some do, and startups which are guided by a few venture capital funds also recommend that brands do it after a certain ARR, but it's happening in the D2C ecosystem as well. It's not like it's zero. I would think that if a brand overall is spending about anywhere upwards of 3 to 5 crores in media, should be investing about 10 lakhs in understanding its.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
It's apps should be done, right? And which will happen. I think we'll go through that as well.
Okay, so I mean, we started talking about brand story. I don't know where the fuck we'll end it up.
Yeah.
But I think that's the format. It's a very easygoing thing. But essentially, I think that, I mean, just to come back to that word format, I think essentially what we're trying to do here is that we try and pick something that's interesting to both of us. And then, but also fundamentally something that we disagree on at a certain level.
At an approach level or at a principle level, either way.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, because also I come from we both come from same schools of thought, but I think my approach is different, his approach is different, and, you know. But at the end, I think it all, we sort of meet somewhere. And through that conversation, we sort of feel like, yeah, what you're saying makes sense, what I'm saying makes sense, and we come at that lovely, beautiful place. So I think.
So here's what I would do at the end, right? I think if you had to just kind of bring this back to where we started, and since your drink is over, if you had to close out this conversation, tell me 5 things, or as many as you can come up with, which make a good brand story. There can be, like all stories, they can be good or bad. While a story is a story, but good or bad meaning from the perspective of it moving the needle for the business, right? As an
I can't tell you 5 things. I'm going to just say one thing. It needs to be interesting. A brand story inherently needs to be interesting. Like, and I'm not even going to talk about a brand.
Any story.
Fundamentally a story.
Yeah.
A story has to be interesting. Superman's story. It's an interesting story. Fucking son of Krypton comes from this
Yeah.
planet, comes here to rescue mankind, saves everyone. The last Superman movie was a sucky movie where he just couldn't fight, but whatever. But that's the story of Superman. Batman's story. Whatever. Like all the great stories of humanity are interesting stories, right? And I feel that if you apply the same principles of that to a brand, there is no reason why it shouldn't work.
Okay, so good. Now, what is an interesting story? What makes a story? What are the elements that make a story interesting?
Dude, okay, so you are an analytical fucker. I'm not. I go with vibe and feeling, right? And I think that if a story in a room full of 10 people, if a story gives someone shivers or goosebumps or makes them smile or makes them cry or whatever, initiates some sort of feeling, I think that makes a good
So let's break this down. Okay, so a story can be funny as well, right? So that's also an emotion.
Yeah,
it doesn't have
yeah,
to.
Yeah.
So number one, it should elicit emotion.
Correct.
A good story should, and a good brand should.
Yeah.
Right? And the emotion can be anything, as in it can be.
And you should be able to apply that story to a human as well.
Yes. So it should elicit emotion. So that's a good one. It should be relevant to the audience. Relevance is important.
It should be relevant to when you say audience, I'm thinking like the traditional way of defining an audience.
No,
like
I'm saying
20 to 26.
I'm saying if this room is full of 5-year-olds,
yeah,
and you start talking about Kafka and Camus,
correct,
then it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So relevance from that perspective,
Yeah.
and also relevance from a cultural perspective as well, right? While human stories generally can move.
But see, I'm saying that a brand story should be timeless, and the reason I'm saying it should be timeless is because most great stories are timeless. The great stories we've all grown up with,
Yeah.
right, are all timeless stories. It doesn't matter if you're hearing that story in 2025 or if you heard it in 1981 or if you're going to hear it in 2086.
Yeah, but
It'll still be a great story.
It'll be a great story, but there is a collective consciousness which is culture, right?
Yeah.
And for brands, it's important to find their place in culture today, right?
But that's execution.
No, you're right. You're right in some sense. So the story has to.
Where does culture come into play with the Bible?
You're right. As in yeah, you're right. It's more execution. I agree.
It's execution.
Yeah, it's more execution. Yeah, I agree with you. So I'm kind of getting mixed up in my head about, is this an execution or is this the larger brand story?
I'm talking about like the brand story.
So essentially, if we have to bring it down to one thing, as long as it is eliciting an emotion, it does the job.
It does the job.
Because everything else, it will be only when it is relevant.
As many people as possible.
Yeah, true. As in, only if it is relevant will it elicit an emotion.
Yeah, I mean, if the brand story is only for like fucking 20 to 25 urban Bangalore male, then it's not a brand story.
Yeah, true. It has, agreed.
As many people as possible should listen to that story, understand the story and say, yeah, you know what, I feel that. I'm with you with that.
Yeah.
That's what a brand story should be.
I think
we've solved brand stories.
We solved brand stories.
Yeah. Now, I just wish more people would give us projects on brand stories.
And on that note, you should go make your drink and we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Time to cut.